You actually read the instructions.
What the fuck is happening in the background?
Just think about
The
something.
whiteboard of equations I prepared are not. Okay.
Jesus, when he starts
You called
laughing,
it.
it's impossible.
Maybe I hallucinated this, but I believe a couple of years later I found a blog post from Jan LeCun.
Hoppala.
Define success and research it.
Exactly. And nothing. We can start. So, welcome to Sottosoglia, the podcast that nobody can pronounce. I am Giulia D'Angelo.
And I'm Fabrizio Ottati.
Please, Fabri, introduce the guest.
So, today we have the pleasure to have Michael Furlong with us. He's a research fellow with the University of Waterloo and the Canadian National Research Council. And previously, I noticed that he also worked at NASA on automated exploration of planetary robotics, and which is insanely cool. And he received his PhD from Carnegie Mellon University, and he likes to spend his time working on bio-inspired computing and robotics. And we can't wait to know more about it and about him, of course. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks. It's nice to be here.
So, Michael, let's start a little bit with your background. So, welcome to this podcast. I'm very happy to have you here. And please tell us a little bit about your background at the start.
Sure. I guess I should start with the space stuff.
Because
So-
it's cooler.
I am.
Well, yeah, so I guess around 13 to 14 billion years ago, the universe was compressed into a volumeless mass that exploded. And then sometime later, I got into robotics and ended up working in planetary robotics at the NASA Ames Intelligent Robotics Group. And I was working on designing intelligent systems that would explore on behalf of human scientists when they couldn't access the robots or talk to them. You know, if they're in a lavatory, if they're under the ice at Europa, that sort of thing. And it became quickly evident that putting sophisticated and modern AI in these kinds of very limited compute systems, we'd have a power budget of about 5 watts, right? And the computing hardware itself is quite dated in order to be resilient to radiation environments. So fitting some modern AI, you know, that depends on a warehouse full of GPUs is not going to fit. So having previously studied neuroscience, I sort of have been pursuing neuromorphic computing ever since to try and be able to fit, you know, good AI in constrained compute environments, and hopefully, you know, one day get performance rivaling humans without having
One
to have
day.
humans there.
One day, maybe. Yeah, we're trying.
Well, I mean, like ever since like I was a kid, my goal was to make Commander Data, and from Star Trek, and I might be a little bit behind schedule on that front, but you know, Plan A is still in action.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So we start with the first question. That this is a question that we ask everyone. The first and the last one is the same question, which is not really intrusive because it's actually, how are you at the moment, Michael?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
No, that's not enough.
Oh,
Do you put pineapple
Don't-
on pizza?
Exactly. This is another question that we ask to everyone.
I have to be a stereotype, otherwise it doesn't fit the character.
I don't prefer pineapple on pizza, but
You
as
said
a
prefer.
as a proud Canadian, I will defend people's rights to have Hawaiian pizza, should they so choose.
Jesus. Anyway, how are you in this period of life? How would you rate this period of life?
Pretty good. I I was at a wedding recently, a cousin's wedding, and we were sitting around with some people I had just met. And the person I was sitting next to sort of got this far off look in their eyes and said, are you doing what you thought you'd be doing when you grew up? I thought for a minute, like, actually, yes, I am.
Aww.
Yeah, and then they left the table, and they seemed very put out. But
It's a sign from God. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm very happy to hear it. Okay, so now we can actually start with the podcast,
okay,
which includes this. Okay, so this is sottosoglia, which is basically is subthreshold in Italian. But the point is that we care about the person behind the scientist. Okay. So let's deep dive in your life. Give me, I don't know, a number or where, like top, bottom, where do you want me to pick a card?
I like when guys give numbers,
the
very
49th
strange
card
numbers.
from
Yes.
No.
from the box.
I'm not gonna do that. So 4 plus 9 is 13. So 1, 2, 3. I counted a mix of Italian and English. Jesus, I'm having a stroke. Okay. Okay, so easy question to break the ice. How do you see your field evolving in the next 5, 10, and 20 years? If you even see it evolving.
Yeah, I guess the question is what is my field, and then what do I think of it?
Yeah.
If we understand it to be neurorobotics, neuromorphic computing applied to robotics more specifically, I'd like to see more of it. There's been some early work that's been, I mean, obviously, so like the Yitskaramutsa with the event cameras has been very, very impressive work. I'd like to see, I hope to see, neuromorphic computing extending beyond perception and through the rest of the control, planning, action stack. And I think we're getting to a point where that's going to be plausible.
Yeah, I mean, Guido is proving it, or at least he has proved the
Yeah.
previous here. So we are doing our small part also. So hopefully we will get more and more. Let's see, but I do think it's tough though. Like, I do think that still we need some time to show it, but more importantly, we need man work. So we need manpower. We need people to work on it, because people do leave us before even do something.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it's important to say, like, to anyone out there who is like young and enterprising and talented, and they're interested in getting into this field, don't. I have enough competition as it stands, and you know, maybe there's something else you could be doing.
No, I need PhD students. Fuck. Yeah,
I should be clear. I am, of course, joking. There is lots to be done, and we need many, many good people.
Yeah. No, the point is that there is lots to be done, and we need lots of people, and we need to try to convince that, I mean, everyone at some point took risk, right? Like even nuclear fusion, it wasn't working before, or like he had like, you know, oscillations of people working on it and not, right? And then he had another boom. And I think, you know, like neuromorphic is no, it's working. It's just
It's a perfect
needs to
analogy
show
for neuromorphic computing. Good
its
point.
power.
Well,
Nobody was. Jesus, when he starts
You called
laughing,
it.
it's impossible. No, nobody was really, you know, believing in Jan LeCun when he started, like in the 70s with CNN and so on and so forth, right? And then I think there is a conference where he actually started saying, "Oh, you didn't believe in me," but it's the same thing. Like this is research, yeah.
when I was in grad school, I found a paper by Jan LeCun and showed it to a friend of mine. He's like, "Oh yeah, no, he does really good stuff, but nobody else can get his networks to work." maybe I hallucinated this, but I believe a couple of years later I found a blog post from Jan LeCun saying, automatic differentiation is great and everyone should be using it, which maybe leads me to believe that maybe people weren't able to get his models to work because they were hand coding their gradients. Maybe don't quote me on that. So it's these things come and go in waves, and
Exactly.
sometimes we have all these. But sorry, to be quite literal about this, right? So was it Fukushima did the neocognitron in the 1980s? Backpropagation existed in the 1980s. Automatic differentiation existed by 1989. Like, we had all these tools to do convolutional neural networks by the end of the 1980s, but it wasn't until AlexNet happened that these things really came together and took off, right? So, who knows what tools are sitting around out there lying just waiting to be used, which is why we need more people with more perspectives to come into the field.
And from our aspect, like more senior or junior senior as I am, we need to provide jobs for these people. So that is important, right? Anyway, okay. So we broke the ice.
Yes.
Go.
Good.
Okay. How many cards do you have?
No. No. The response is no.
Can we use a base different from 10 to count?
Okay. I was going to say I'd like to use the Grothendieck prime.
You know what? You just stopped me. Okay.
Okay. Now. There we go.
Okay. Oh wow, interesting. Are publications enough to be a successful researcher?
Oppala.
Define success and researcher.
Exactly.
You get tenure.
Not even there, because it never stops.
Yeah, I think it's an important part of it, but it's not the only part of success, right? Passing information on to the next generation is an important part of being a researcher. And just quite from a very literal perspective, if you're a researcher in a research position, there are always expectations of service to the community in some capacity, whether that's reviewing papers or serving on committees or what have you. And then there's also, there is the marketing aspect of the job that I think none of us like to talk about, but all know exists. And so that's an important part too. The answer is no.
Yeah, definitely. I think politics plays. We talked about this with Dylan a lot. Politics plays 90% of the game, basically. But yes, also because publications. You become a successful researcher, in my opinion, if you had the chance to work with a successful researcher. Like, you can become out of the blue just a successful researcher, and you're never seen or be guided by someone that has done it before you, and you need to have the chance to follow a nice person that tells you to do. I think it's not just on your control.
I think that makes it easier, but I don't think it's the only way.
No.
But acknowledging that is a very valuable opportunity. Yeah.
Tell me.
The one that is upside down.
Yeah, I saw it. I'll do it.
Unless it's
Okay, we have done these questions already, but it's fine. It's a nice question. How do you handle failure or setbacks? You just sit in a corner.
Oh, that's easy. It's a pint of Haagen-Dazs, and then a pint of Haagen-Dazs, and then watching Bad Boys 2 on loop until I feel better.
Imagine you've written a huge grant and you put everything of you in that grant and you get rejected. What do you?
Yeah. So without meaning to brag, I have been adjacent to some very impressive people in my career, um, and it's become my understanding that like even the best, we will use this term loosely, best people have success rates of around 10%.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to understand that rejection is the thing that we do on the way to success. Um, so that's, I feel bad for a day or so, and then I try and get up and do it again.
Yeah, I remember one time I was at the ETH and I was talking to Giacomo and talking about writing for the very first time, the Marie Curie. And I remember like telling him, I don't know, it will never happen, blah, 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 it's too difficult, blah, blah. And he just told me, please sit here. He opened the computer and he showed me a screenshot of folders of how many submitted grants, and he's one of the most successful person in neuromorphic. I mean, I would say probably the most successful person in neuromorphic, and like all of the folders with the X were actually the project that were have been rejected in the past, and he told me exactly this. It's like, you need to take into account this is our job, and rejections is just part of it, and you just need to go on, like, okay, this grant is not gone well, okay, let's do the second one, and so on and so forth. Otherwise you don't cope, you just don't cope with it.
And it's also,
Yeah.
it's a useful form of feedback. It can
Yeah.
help you shape up whatever you're doing for the next round of the next submission.
I have one question though. Who's Giacomo? For the audience, not for
Indiveri,
me.
sorry, yeah. Yeah, right, Giacomo Indiveri, yes, he's
Giacomo,
a
the
professor
paninaro of
at
ATH.
no, Gesù, no, this I'm gonna cut it. He's a professor at the University
I know
of
that he's a
Zurich,
professor. It could have been anyone.
and
You have
now
to be
I'm telling,
general.
yeah, and now I'm telling the community also that Giacomo Indiveri is a professor at the University of Zurich and a professor at the ATH also. Recently became both, so more than this you really cannot get in your life, I think. But anyway, okay.
I
Okay,
have a second question. Madonna.
then let's use it. Let's
My
use
accent.
it as a.
Nothing.
No, I can't. Like, to me, it's British. Feels British. Just let's use it, Fabri. Let's use it as discomfort time, because usually in the middle of the podcast, Fabrizio comes out with a discomfort question, or anyway a question to the guest. So I leave you the stage, Fabrizio. We lost it.
Is this the discomfort time already?
Hmm.
I didn't
20
understand. Oh, I actually screamed.
21 minutes.
Sorry, I didn't understand. Yeah, the question that it works more or less like a discomfort question. Let's divide it in two parts. First one, the question that I wanted to ask, it's what's success? First of all.
Nice.
Because you said it at least 3 times.
Yeah.
For you, of course, not in
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
Otherwise,
You
you would explode in front of the screen.
you were too ready with formulas, but we don't care.
It's a very nice formula. Yeah, I mean, I was going to open with some sort of like time-buying spiel about how success means different things to different people, but you've cut off that avenue to me now, so I had to find some other way to kill for time. Yeah, I mean, so we can look at, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we can just sort of posit all the things at the bottom, and then I think getting into a position of, self-actualization where you get to do stuff that you care about, that you think is interesting in a community of like-minded individuals. Also money.
Oh.
It's like,
Also, money. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Very
yeah, but
political
how
answer,
do
okay.
you think? So now I have an inner question to the second, before the second question of Fabrizio. How can we make people to stay and do what we do, knowing the incredible amount of sacrifice that you need to do in your life, and knowing that you don't have a stability, and the money wise is not the same in, like, going into industry and stuff? Like, how can we
Yes.
change the system in order to help us to do a normal life, a more normal life? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Redacted. No. Sorry, but let me try that again. I mean, so you very well point out that this is a system that we live in that does not necessarily need to be organized that way, right? And we can look at, I mean, this is not unique to academia by any measure or research. But we need to ensure that the availability of funding, the availability of positions somehow keeps pace with the costs of being in these positions.
There's no solution, right?
Well,
No, but I don't understand. For example, if you try to organize a conference, there's no funding. If you try to organize a workshop for the conference, there's no funding. If you review a paper, there's no funding. The only thing that you have is finding fundings for you to publish a paper that you wrote, and you need to adjust it to be just uploaded. Like, this kind of lobby, I don't see how we can be helped if we keep maintaining this system alive and we keep working for it. Like, I just submitted a review today, and I spent like 2 full days, 8 hours per day to finish this review. It was 30 pages of a paper. Even more, yeah, whatever. Anyway, point is that I would never get anything back if not a citation that I have done my work. Okay, I'm doing it for the sake of science, right? And I try to do the best that I can, but I lost time for doing my job, and I mean, it's an insane system.
yeah, I mean, far be it from me to suggest that a system that was designed to educate 17th century German men is the right way to organize all of our modes of research that we are now currently conducting. Uh, but the question is, like, if we want there to be an alternative, then that is something that needs to be organized by people. But as you point out, it's a tough situation to be in because you have to be running on one treadmill while trying to set up something else.
Yeah, because there's too much research now. Like, you could be doing this a while ago because people were coming out with a paper every 2 years, maybe. We are doing at least 3 to 4 papers, or at least this is what you are meant to do every year. And multiplied for the many more people that are doing also the PhD compared with 30 years ago. This is just unmanageable, and I'm trying to understand if archive could make sense, because I don't think it makes sense. In the end, is a good approach, but still is not peer reviewed. So I have no idea how to solve it.
Yeah. As soon as I figure that out, I'll drop you a line.
We started startup. Yeah. Fabri, do you have a second question?
No, to elaborate on what you just said, the second question is not important. Before changing the system, I think you have to allow to make this system work almost everywhere in terms of funding, because there are at the moment there are very few places in which a research career can lead to something that is not burnout. If I think about Switzerland, I think about a few public universities in the States, in Canada, in very few university also in Europe in which you can do something like that. While most of the other places do not allow even to go and do your research for making a decent amount of money out of it, where they said, I mean, you can pay an apartment where you live on your own, maybe a car, going out every now and then. So I think first you need the funding has to be increased. That's for sure. Regarding instead the rate of publications, it's true that it's much more, but it has also sped up the how to call it,
Innovation.
the innovation and
in general. Yeah.
to make a very stupid example, you can think about the coronavirus vaccines. That without the exchange of information, without the amount of people that were put into this in the past years, it would have been possible to do something like that. Or AI, if you think AI had the boom in 2012, now 12 years later we have something that, if you think about an AlexNet that was recognizing cats and dogs very slowly, by the way, it's something that you couldn't do before, technology wise of course, but also people wise, because now very meaningful research comes from anywhere, while before it was Germany, France, US, UK, that's it.
Yeah, I guess actually I'd sort of like to go just back to that question that, how did we fix the system? I mean, part of the stress of being in the system, I think, is a drive to be at the pinnacle, right? But not everyone is going to be faculty at Harvard.
Don't even start here.
To pick a university at random. There is lots of good work. There are lots of good people all over the world, right? And there are opportunities for positions in research that aren't necessarily faculty positions as well, right? So, like personally, I work at a federally funded research organization. And there is a lot of fascinating work being done here. It is a position that comes, by virtue of being a government position, it comes with a degree of stability. And I would encourage people to explore these other avenues for positions, as well as like industrial research positions, right? So I think once you sort of step back from the drive to be the best person at the best school with the most grants and the most published papers, then your life sort of becomes easier.
Yeah. Definitely. I fully agree. And also, I do think that we need to get out from Oxford, Harvard, Stanford. Like, we need to get out from just those schools. Because, for example, just to make an example, I've never seen such a great rigor here at the Czech Technical University. They do an amazing job. Like, here, to get a PhD, every year you need to have at least 2 papers first author. I mean, it's insane.
Madonna. 2 papers first author every year.
It's insane.
You go on MDPI.
It's insane.
There is no other way.
I'm telling you, they're doing a great job. They're very rigorous in what they do. But then you would say, oh, who knows the CTU in the world? But actually, they are 5th on Europe for computer vision. Like, it's very very good university for computer vision. But anyway, we need to explore a little bit more. There's lots of university that do a great job, and I do think that PhD students should look more in different avenues, because I don't think it's anymore just the university, but it's much more also the person, just the person that is leading that lab, that maybe you want to work with that specific person. So, and this not all of the time coincide with Harvard, Stanford, and Oxford. Nothing to be said that, of course, Oxford, Stanford, and are amazing universities, but I'm just saying that you could explore different options, because you do have the chance now.
I mean, and also with the development of information technology, if you'll permit me to sound like marketing blib from the 1990s, that we can build these distributed organizations, right?
Exactly.
And collaborations of people. And so
Exactly.
I think it enables a lot more loosely defined structure, but good people to connect and build good work together.
Exactly. Also because I don't know, like even thinking, okay, I try to apply for the ETH. There are some scholarship. What if you don't get the scholarship? Then either you have the family that supports you or it's impossible. So,
Oh no, you don't go.
you know,
You don't go.
you just don't go. Yeah, that's why I'm saying that
That's
just
what I did
explore
when
other
I was
options.
choosing the place where to visit during the PhD.
Ah,
ETH?
exactly.
Nah.
Exactly.
I can't
Oh,
afford.
let's go on Michael's life. You tell me.
Now,
Oh,
It's a fine.
oh wow, this is nice. This is cute. What is the best way to teach something to someone? Just
Now
coughing.
it's time for the whiteboard.
by osmosis. No. The best way to teach somebody something. I think, and I don't mean this to sound harsh, but to get them to do it themselves and then answer their questions for them. Or not, sorry, not
Yes.
answer their questions for them, like say, oh, here's how you do it, here's how you do it, but to engage with them in a very, very dialogue-driven way.
Can I add one thing because I know you and I worked with you?
Mhm.
With kindness. You're very kind. You're very, very kind. So people are not afraid to show that, like, I don't know this, I don't know how to do this, and you never lose patience. So I would like to add this
Well,
also.
thank you, that's kind of you to say.
Okay. Give me a number, a sustainable number, Michael.
Best.
1.5 degrees centigrade.
Convert
I
it to
didn't even-
Fahrenheit and then round it.
Like, give me a number, please. It's too late.
3.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
Oh, wow. What is something that people would be surprised to learn about you? You're actually a very mean person and we don't know.
I kick puppies as a hobby. No. I don't know. I don't think there's anything terribly surprising.
Some secret that we don't know. I don't know. You watch cartoons every night. I don't know. Something stupid.
Doesn't everybody? Is this
You'd
not
be
how we're
surprised.
all getting through all this?
I play Dungeons and Dragons. No, I don't know.
No, I've only played that once. I like zombie movies or horror movies more generally, but I don't
Okay.
think that's terribly surprising.
No, not that terribly
I
surprising.
like
I will.
Sharknado. I saw
I
the
will-
entire series 17 times. I like flying sharks.
Like, for example, I can share that every time when I look at the Lord of the Rings, every time they start with the battle, in the first movie, Jesus, I cry all of my tears. So I don't know
That's
if
not
this could be
embarrassing.
but it's surprising, right?
I mean, I read 4 times the Twilight Saga when I was a teenager.
This is terrible. This is not surprising. This is.
And I went to watch Twilight on my own at the movie theater when I was 11.
And you'll edit that out later, right?
Give me a number, Michael. Let's get out from this situation.
13.
Okay. Okay. If you could snap your fingers and make your career goal happen tomorrow, what would it be?
Huh.
I mean, like I said, I kind of have it, right? I'm doing stuff that I think is interesting in a good position with interesting people.
Oh,
If we were to talk about like some pie in the sky goal, it would be also a fellowship at All Souls College in Oxford.
Okay.
But you know.
But like we are defeating the point of what we said 10 minutes ago.
Oh, sure, yeah. No, but
Also, I would love to be a professor at Berkeley. What does it mean? That's a dream.
I mean,
Okay.
it's nice being at the top of things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, give me a number.
16.
Okay. How much has the way you grew up influenced the professional you are today?
That's a good question.
I feel like being an uncle. I've been doing this the entire episode. I don't know why.
My folks were both medical professionals and very insistent on empiricism and having reasons for what you're doing. My father was a big proponent of evidence-based medicine, which when you think about it is a terrifying phrase, because by modifying medicine it means that there's some other aspects of it that are not evidence-based. So I think that's driven a lot of my approach to how I interact with things, just from a very empirical point of view.
Okay. Like for me, it worked the opposite way. Like my mother is a secretary and my father was a bus driver. They couldn't care a damn what I was doing, nothing. So, and also my mother never was like, oh, good, brava, Julia, oh, good, well done, or something like that. So for me, it was, oh, I need to show something bigger in order to receive, oh, what a beautiful thing that we have done. So I tried, like, but she still, like, no. My father kept calling me neurologist until like the very end. He kept calling me neurologist, and he also sent me calls of friends of him, and I should act as the neurologist. I'm so sorry, I'm a neuroengineer, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to say is that probably you are just a driven person. Like I don't know how much, like to me, cause the opposite thing caused the same kind of like ambition, right? So maybe they're just people that are self-driven somehow, but I have no idea. I'm trying to
No,
understand.
either you're
It's a
self-driven
question.
or you're not driven.
Yeah,
No one
exactly.
will
But
ever drive you.
what I'm saying is that the
It's called
trigger.
burnout.
Yeah, but like the trigger is both ways, right? Yes, burnout. Yeah.
No, when someone externally triggers you, you just burn. Unless you're self-driven. That's my opinion. If, I don't know, your parents want you to succeed, but you couldn't give a shit about math, you're not gonna do it. Maybe you will end up pursuing that career, but at a certain point you will explode and do something else.
I don't know.
Or
I
you
kinda
will be
feel-
frustrated your entire life. That's another.
Yeah, but I kind of feel, I don't know. I kind of feel it's the opposite. So it's entirely based on someone else's happiness, in my opinion. Like I wanted to make my mother happy or proud of myself, and Michael was sharing basically the same, right? He wanted to be proud of his father, proud of him, right? In my opinion, it's extremely external.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say actually that I was. There was never like the pressure to like, oh, I need to do this to. Sorry.
Opala.
I need to do this to achieve some goal or something like that. And very much the environment I grew up in was very like supportive, and if I wanted to do a thing that I thought was interesting, then that's great, and if I wanted to do something else, that's great too. So I didn't. I don't know. I mean, I think it's we run the risk of generalizing too much from people's background, because I think people, I mean, it's not just how they grow up, but it's their entire experience, their life that affects how you interact with the world.
But I do think that the first 6 to 7 years define your life.
I mean, they definitely have to.
No.
Have
In my opinion, yes.
an
Neuroscience
No.
says
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not that kind of a doctor, so I refrain from passing comments.
I used to be for my father. I used to be, so maybe I can talk. I don't know. Let's go with one of the last questions.
Good.
Number.
Oh,
27.
I would have expected to have more numbers visible in my office. 28.
Ok, interact yourself and entertain yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, mix Italian and English while you count. Do you know some French too? No?
7,
Me,
28.
or-
Please.
No.
Jesus. Okay, what do you like about your job?
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
I get to come in every day and do cool things with neuromorphic computing. Well, I mean, so this is the thing that there's this book out called Logic Comics, comic graphic novel that sort of charts the history of discrete mathematics leading up to just shy of when Alan Turing shows up on the scene. And so Christos Papadimitrios is one of the co-authors of that book. He's the guy who wrote the book on complexity theory. And the story itself is like, it imbues this great sense of excitement as you're watching this field come together that's about to be born, right? So you get the Gödel shows up and talks about incompleteness and all this sort of stuff. And the way I feel reading that book is the way that I feel when I'm working on neuromorphic computing, that we're on the verge of something that's really going to deliver. Excuse me. And it's still nascent enough that we can make these impacts and contributions. And you're getting to meet all these interesting people who have all these different takes and views and things, and are bringing all these different perspectives and talents to the field. So that's what I like about my job. It's enormous fun.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it is super true. Like, I mean, even though it costs me a lot every day, I don't know at this point if I would be able to do any other job. I mean, the richness, or like what I got even to talking to you or to any other colleagues I talk every day, is just uncomparable. Yes.
I'm not quite sure I followed that last bit. I mean, I wake up every day excited to go into the office, and everything's easy. So
Giulia too.
Like, Jesus, like, as soon as we stop and it's already late, I need to finish a grant because I have the deadline tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I really like my job. I love it. I love it so much. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay. So let's get to the very last question that Fabrizio and I ask to all of our guests, which is, who is the person we are behind the scientist in your case?
In the sense of
You yourself.
oh, who?
You.
I don't really know how to answer that question. I guess I should have prepared.
Go with the flow. Exactly. Everyone is doing this thingy. How would you design your? How do you define your personality taking a role in you being a scientist?
I really don't think about myself that much in that way. I mean, I have a mishmash of experiences. I have not had a direct path. I have very much a Brownian motion path through my career to date. I've done a whole whack of different things. And I would say that I am the culmination of those experiences and the people I've had the good fortune to interact with and learn from and build upon. But at the end of the day, I just sort of get up in the morning and try to do the things that I think will be useful or helpful or interesting.
Yeah, which I think, like, if from what I see, this episode will be how I see Michael. But anyway, from my perspective, you're very mission driven. Like, you are on a path, like, very mission driven. Like, you're super cool that you mentioned yourself about the book, right? Like, I see you in that way, you know, like, you really want to make some sort of, like, difference in the world, and you have your mission, and then therefore you wake up happy to then do these things that of course are fascinating, right? But it's nice for you.
Is that success?
Exactly. I think so. I mean, like, in my opinion, you saying at that wedding that you are actually doing what you were thinking on doing, to me, that's the best definition of success. And we close it this way, okay? So, Fabri,
Yeah.
go with the last.
So we would like to thank Michael for participating in this conversation with us.
And we hope for the listeners to be with us in the next one.